Have you ever felt that anger that keeps you from moving forward? That inner voice whispering, "You can't forget?" What if I told you that true power isn't found in revenge, but in forgiveness? In this video, you'll discover what forgiveness really means. Not as a sign of weakness, but as an act of inner freedom. You'll learn that forgiveness is a discipline, a mental strength that only determined minds can master. Then, you'll see how forgiveness becomes a tool for success and leadership. Because a peaceful mind always makes wiser decisions. And finally, you'll understand why peace is the greatest victory of all. A victory that no anger, no betrayal, can ever take away from you. Stay until the end. Because this message might just change the way you see life. And more importantly, the way you free yourself from the past. Welcome to CELFA, the growth mindset. Here, we learn to grow, to rise, and to become free. Through awareness, discipline, and forgiveness. You know, forgiveness is one of those words that everyone says easily, but few people truly understand. Many think that to forgive means to say it's fine, or to pretend that nothing happened. But real forgiveness has nothing to do with forgetting. It's an act of courage, an act of inner strength. Forgiving doesn't mean excusing what hurt you, it means refusing to remain a prisoner of pain. It means telling your past, "You no longer control my future." When someone betrays you, lies to you, or humiliates you, they leave a mark inside you. And if you don't heal that wound, it stays open. You keep living, but the wound influences your mood, your relationships, your choices. Sometimes it even makes you doubt yourself. You think you're moving forward, but you're carrying an invisible bag filled with anger, resentment, and unspoken words. And that invisible weight, it always slows you down. I remember a man I once met at a seminar. He had lost contact with his brother after an argument. 10 years without speaking. 10 years of waiting for the other to make the first move. During all that time, resentment built a wall between them. And when his brother fell ill, it was too late. That man told me a sentence I'll never forget: "I was right for too long." That sentence marked me because it shows how being right can sometimes cost us our peace. Forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for you. It's not a favor you give to the one who hurt you. It's a freedom you give yourself. As long as you refuse to forgive, you remain tied to your offender. You give them power they don't deserve. You let them live in your mind, your heart, your thoughts. And often, while you suffer, they go on with their lives, without even remembering what they did. You must understand one simple truth: resentment is a poison you drink hoping the other person will die. But in the end, it's you who gets destroyed. It drains your energy, kills your creativity, and closes your heart. It keeps you from growing. Look around you. You'll see how many people live in the past. Some only talk about what was done to them. Others define themselves by their wounds. They say, "I was betrayed. I was abandoned. I was disrespected." And without realizing it, they build their identity around their pain. That's dangerous, because when you keep replaying the past, you end up reliving the same wound every single day. True forgiveness doesn't deny the pain. It doesn't say, "It didn't hurt." It says, "It hurt, but I choose to heal." Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, it transforms the pain into wisdom. It says, "What broke me yesterday strengthens me today." There was a woman I once coached in a personal development workshop. She had been unfairly fired after 15 years of work. She was full of anger against her boss, her company, against life itself. For 2 years, she stayed trapped in resentment. Then one day, she decided to forgive, not for him, but for herself. She said, "I want my freedom back." That day, she regained her energy. A few months later, she started her own company. And guess what? She became the kind of leader who treats her employees with respect, because she had learned through pain what others never learned through comfort. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It simply stops the past from destroying your future. It's not an emotion, it's a decision. You don't forgive when you feel like it, because your heart will never ask for it naturally. You forgive when you decide you've suffered enough. When you realize that holding on to anger is like holding on to a burning coal, it hurts you more than anyone else. Forgiveness is a way of saying, you no longer have power over my peace. Because as long as you resent someone, you're still dependent on them. You let them control your calm. Every time you think of them, your body tightens, your heart races, your mind replays the pain. And little by little, that drains you. Many people confuse forgiveness with weakness. They think that to forgive is to submit, to accept injustice. In reality, it's the opposite. It takes strength to forgive. It takes courage to turn the page. It takes maturity to say, I choose peace over revenge. Imagine someone stole your money. You could spend your life hating them. Or you could focus on rebuilding what was lost. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means refusing to waste your energy fighting a battle that no longer matters. It means becoming the master of your story again. The human brain is built to protect itself. When it's hurt, it creates an alert, remember this pain, don't let it happen again. But by trying to protect you, it traps you in the memory. Forgiveness is like a mental reset. It tells your brain, I acknowledge what happened, but I don't want it to control me anymore. It's emotional hygiene, like washing away the dust of a long day. You see it in relationships too. Many couples break not because of what happened, but because they can't forgive. They keep counting each other's mistakes until love suffocates under the weight of the past. Yet sometimes, a single sincere I forgive you can open the door to a new beginning. In life, no one is perfect. We've all hurt someone, sometimes without meaning to. We've all failed, disappointed, lied, or been lied to. So before we expect others to be flawless, we must learn to understand our own weaknesses. Forgiveness begins with understanding. And understanding already begins to heal. Forgiveness is emotional maturity at its highest level. It means recognizing the pain, transforming it into wisdom, and walking forward lighter. It's not a single act. It's a path. And every step you take toward peace is a silent victory over your ego. Because, deep down, to forgive is to choose freedom, freedom from the past, from regrets, from anger. And that kind of freedom, no one can take from you. And that kind of freedom, no one can take from you. Forgiveness isn't a moment. It's a discipline. It's not just a feeling, it's training for your mind and your heart. Forgiving once is easy to say, but learning to forgive every time life hurts you, that's the real work. It takes the same rigor as an athlete, the same daily consistency as someone who trains for inner peace and clarity. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's the kind of strength that silently changes everything inside you. Because forgiveness is like training an invisible muscle, the muscle of letting go. And that muscle doesn't grow in comfort, it grows through friction and pain. It grows every time you choose not to react, every time you choose calm over anger, every time you whisper to yourself, this hurts, but I won't let it define me. We often talk about discipline in sports, work, or study, but rarely about emotional discipline. Yet emotional discipline is what separates peaceful people from reactive ones. When you're disciplined inside, you stop letting others decide your mood. You stop handing your power to every situation that offends you. You stop reacting to every insult, every injustice, every betrayal. You remain grounded in who you are. And that calm, that stillness, becomes a form of power. Look around you. Some people wake up every day with old wounds they still feed. They replay the same anger, the same stories, the same pain. They say, I was betrayed. I was disrespected. And they don't realize that they're nurturing their own suffering like a fire they refuse to let die. The discipline of forgiveness is about breaking that loop. It's saying, I won't relive this anymore. I'm taking back control of my peace. Forgiveness isn't a one-time gesture, it's daily practice. Some days, it's easy. Other days, everything in you screams no. But that's where discipline matters most. Real strength doesn't live in moments of inspiration. It lives in repetition, in choosing, again and again, not to let bitterness become your home. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. If anyone had a reason to hate, it was him. Yet when he walked out, he said, "If I didn't leave my bitterness behind, I'd still be in prison." That's the discipline of forgiveness, the understanding that hate never frees you. Only peace does. But let's be clear, forgiveness doesn't mean accepting everything. It's not submission, it's lucidity. You can forgive without returning to the same situation. You can understand without excusing. Forgiveness doesn't force you to repeat the story, it allows you to close it without bitterness. It's saying, "I see what happened, I understand what it taught me, and now I move on." I once met an entrepreneur who was betrayed by his business partner. Years of work gone overnight. He could have drowned in anger, lawsuits, and revenge. But instead, he said, "I'll use this pain as fuel." He forgave, not because the other deserved it, but because he wanted his peace back. 3 years later, he built a new company, stronger and wiser than before. That's what it means to transform pain into discipline. Forgiveness also demands humility because it confronts your ego. The ego always wants to win, to be right, to prove something. But the discipline of forgiveness reminds you of a deeper truth: you don't need to be right to be at peace. What you really seek isn't victory, it's freedom. This discipline starts in the small moments. When someone interrupts you, when a driver cuts you off, when a friend forgets to call back. Each time you choose patience over pride, you train your spirit. Each time you take a breath instead of firing back, you strengthen the quiet power within. These micro moments build the foundation for the big ones. And yet, there's a form of forgiveness even harder than all the rest: forgiving yourself. You can forgive the entire world, but still carry guilt toward yourself. You replay your past mistakes like old films. "I should have done better. I ruined everything." But you can't move forward while constantly punishing yourself. You can't be both your own judge and your own healer. To forgive yourself means recognizing that you did your best with the awareness you had then. It's not denying your faults, it's embracing your humanity. We all stumble. We all hurt someone. But real discipline is learning, not condemning. If you stay trapped in guilt, you drain the energy you need to rebuild. Look at children. When they fall, they cry for a second, then they get up and run again. They don't spend the day hating themselves for falling. They learn by doing. Forgiving yourself is exactly that: rising again, without shame, without self-punishment. Self-forgiveness is the root of resilience. It turns shame into understanding, failure into fuel. It gives you the quiet confidence to say, "Yes, I've made mistakes, but I'm growing from them." That's the discipline that keeps you alive inside. When you practice forgiveness, toward others and toward yourself, everything shifts. You react less. You listen more. You understand deeper. You become stronger, not because you stop feeling pain, but because pain no longer controls you. That's when forgiveness becomes spiritual, not religious, but a higher state of consciousness. It aligns your mind, your heart, and your purpose. It keeps you standing when the storm hits. It keeps you centered, calm, and unshakable. The discipline of forgiveness is the art of choosing peace over pride, understanding over revenge, growth over resentment, every single day. And the more you practice it, the more you evolve. Because every act of forgiveness refines your soul, strengthens your mind, and brings you closer to freedom. Forgiveness doesn't just change your heart. It changes your mind, your decisions, and even the way you lead. You can't truly succeed while carrying too much anger. Resentment burns your focus. Bitterness clouds your judgment. And a mind filled with pain can never create something truly great. Forgiveness clears your vision. It gives you back the clarity you need to move forward with purpose. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a parent, a leader, or simply someone trying to grow, you must release emotional weight to stay balanced. Otherwise, you don't lead, you react. You don't build, you defend. Forgiveness is a leadership skill, perhaps one of the most underrated of all. It requires the same qualities as true leadership: awareness, self-control, empathy, and vision. A real leader doesn't just manage others, they manage themselves. They learn to pause before reacting. They learn to breathe before speaking. They learn to respond with wisdom even when they have been deeply hurt. That is mastery. Think again of Nelson Mandela. When he walked out of prison, he could have chosen revenge. No one would have blamed him. But instead, he chose peace, not to excuse his oppressors, but to free his nation's future from the shadow of hate. That is leadership, transforming pain into purpose, wounds into wisdom, and chains into lessons. Forgiveness also strengthens you, because it gives you something rare: inner peace. And peace, once earned, becomes magnetic. People are drawn to those who remain calm when everything collapses. Forgiveness gives you that calm, steady, unshakable presence that others feel without you saying a word. It gives you grace under pressure, and that is the foundation of true influence. A bitter leader destroys trust. They create fear, silence, and instability around them. A forgiving leader, on the other hand, builds trust, loyalty, and courage. Because they lead not by control, but by example. They know that people don't follow orders, they follow energy. And forgiveness radiates an energy that invites confidence and cooperation. I once met a manager who told me something I'll never forget: "I don't keep people's mistakes, I keep their lessons." That one sentence carries the entire spirit of leadership. In a team, in a family, even in friendship, if you want people to grow, you must leave room for redemption. If you constantly remind others of what they did wrong, you kill creativity. But when you give them the chance to improve, you create loyalty and greatness. Forgiveness in leadership means seeing beyond the offense. It means recognizing that people often act from fear, insecurity, or confusion, not malice. It means understanding that human beings make errors and that growth often hides behind failure. That kind of insight gives you patience and wisdom, the two rarest qualities in leadership today. Even in business, forgiveness is a hidden asset. It saves you from wasting your energy on proving, punishing, or competing out of ego. It keeps you focused on your mission, your purpose, your long-term vision. Because real success always moves forward, never backward. Those who cling to resentment are always fighting old battles, while those who forgive are already building the future. Forgiveness also protects your mental health. Studies show that resentment increases stress, anxiety, and exhaustion. It weakens your immune system, your concentration, even your creativity. But forgiveness calms the nervous system. It lowers stress, sharpens focus, and boosts your emotional energy. When your mind is at peace, your work becomes clearer, your decisions more precise, your relationships more stable. Forgiveness, in that sense, is not only moral, it's strategic. In relationships, forgiveness acts like invisible glue. It rebuilds trust after mistakes. It gives people the courage to open up again. Without forgiveness, no bond can survive. No team, no love, no friendship can endure without the ability to start fresh. The most beautiful connections are not those that never break, they are those that learn to heal. Still, many people resist forgiveness because they believe it means losing. They think that forgiving means letting the other win. But forgiveness is not surrender, it's victory. It's saying, "You no longer have power over my peace." True power is not the ability to punish, but the ability to stay calm when the world expects you to break. Look at the great visionaries: Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., Desmond Tutu. They understood that hate multiplies itself. They knew that the only way to end the cycle was through forgiveness, not blind forgiveness, but conscious, courageous forgiveness. The kind that breaks the chain of retaliation and sets both sides free. In the corporate world, the same truth applies. The most successful leaders are those who can forgive employees, partners, competitors, even themselves. They know that people change, that mistakes are lessons, and that compassion builds stronger teams than fear ever could. They choose to build instead of punish. And that choice creates loyalty that no salary can buy. Forgiveness is a mark of maturity and confidence. When you forgive, you are declaring, "My peace no longer depends on your behavior." You reclaim control over your emotions and energy. You stop reacting to every offense and start acting from purpose. You lead yourself first, and that's what makes you unshakable. Because leadership begins with self-leadership. There is also a spiritual depth to forgiveness. It's the awareness that everything that happens has meaning. Every betrayal, every disappointment, every injustice carries a hidden lesson. Forgiveness helps you see beyond the pain and find the message inside it. It transforms experience into wisdom. You stop being a victim of life, and you start becoming a student of it. I once heard a CEO say, "Forgiveness protects my mind." That sentence stayed with me. Because it's true, resentment clouds your clarity, while forgiveness cleans the window of your soul. It doesn't mean you forget what happened, it means you see it differently. You look through it, not at it. And when you begin to live this way, everything about your energy changes. You start to attract different people, calmer, wiser, more conscious individuals. You start to inspire trust without trying. Your peace becomes magnetic. People feel safe around you because you are no longer ruled by your wounds. That peace, that's the real definition of success. Not the applause, not the trophies, not the recognition. True success is what you feel when the noise fades, when your mind rests, and you can quietly say to yourself, "I am at peace." To forgive is to choose freedom. It's to refuse to let anger write your story. It's to become the author of your own life. In a world full of reaction, the one who forgives becomes a light. A reminder that there is another way, the way of awareness, discipline, and peace. Forgiveness is not weakness. It's an invisible strength that turns pain into wisdom, anger into clarity, and your past into a stepping stone toward your growth. It's an act of mastery, one that few will understand, but all will feel when they are in your presence. And maybe that's what true leadership really is, staying human when everything around you pushes you not to be. Leading with grace instead of fear. Building bridges instead of walls. And remembering that no power on earth is greater than the peace of a forgiven heart. Forgiveness isn't about weakness. It's about power. The power to reclaim your life, your peace, and your energy. Because as long as you hold resentment, your past controls you. But once you forgive, your future takes over. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to suffer anymore. It means choosing to move forward. Choosing to be free. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want, it's no longer being enslaved by what you feel. And that's exactly what forgiveness gives you, emotional freedom. Look around. So many people wear anger like a badge of honor, when it's actually a chain. They believe that resentment protects them, but in reality, it destroys them slowly, from the inside. Forgiveness doesn't destroy, it rebuilds. It heals. It lightens. There's nothing more powerful than someone who's made peace with their past. They fear nothing. They seek no revenge. They no longer need validation. They simply move forward, calm and confident. And when such a person walks into a room, you feel it. Their energy speaks before their words do. When you forgive, you don't change others, you change the way you see the world. You realize that life was never against you. It was teaching you, through pain, how to become stronger, wiser, and truer. Forgiving is healing without noise. Smiling without explanation. Moving on without justification. It's understanding that peace is the quietest, yet greatest victory of all. So if today someone has hurt you, betrayed you, disappointed you, don't keep the pain as a weapon. Keep it as a lesson. Don't let your anger decide your direction. Let your wisdom guide you instead. Forgive, not for them, but for you. Because life is too short to walk around carrying invisible chains. The world doesn't need more bitterness, it needs more peace. And every time you forgive, you make this world a little softer, a little kinder. Never forget this, forgiveness is a silent revolution. It's not turning the page. It's writing a new chapter. And in that new chapter, you are no longer the victim. You become the author. You stop waiting for peace to come from others, you build it inside yourself. Forgiveness is the beginning of true freedom. And that freedom, no one can ever take away from you.